Welcome to part 2 of today's notes. We're going to practice the angle addition postulate. So when I look at my first picture here, I'm given this information in the picture. So I'm given that these two angles are adjacent. This one, HGB, that I'm going to mark in blue, and FGB, that I'm going to mark in orange. Those two angles are adjacent to each other, and total, they make this big angle FGH. So the angle addition postulate says that the blue angle, the measure of angle HGB, or BGH, you can write it either way, if I take the blue angle and I add that to this orange angle, FGB, together they'll make the whole angle, FGH. Oops, I forgot the measure of angle. Okay, so again, we're saying if I take the blue and the orange and I add those two together, they're going to equal the whole green angle. So now that I've dealt with my givens, which is in the picture, and I've used my angle addition postulate to write myself an equation, I'm going to substitute in. BGH is 54 degrees. FGB is what I'm trying to find. FGH is 159. So I'm substituting in the 54 and the 59. And they have degrees on them, but when you put them in the equation, you don't have to write the degrees in the equation. Kind of like if you have segments and they're inches or yards, you don't have to put the inches and the yards in the equation. So remember, you're adding together the two smaller angles to equal the whole angle. Okay? So what I need to do now is my subtraction property of equality and subtract 54 on both sides. And I get that the measure of angle, FGB, equals 159 minus 54, which is 105 degrees. Okay, same thing on the next one. I have two angles that are next to each other. I have this one down here, which I can either call CHG, or I can call it GHC, either one. So the blue angle, I'm going to call it the measure of angle GHC. If I add that to the angle that it's adjacent to, which remember is just a fancy word for next to, so this orange angle I'm going to mark it, that's right next to the blue angle, which I can call as either IHC or I can call it CHI. So the measure of angle CHI. If I take the blue angle and the orange angle and add them together, it's going to equal the whole angle, which I can either call IHG or GHI. So the measure of angle GHI. All right, so then we're going to plug in GHC is 60. So GHC is my blue angle. And then CHI is my orange angle. And I'm trying to find the measure of angle GHI. I'm trying to find the green angle. So I know that if I add together the blue angle and the orange angle, it's going to equal the green angle. So I just need to combine my like terms. 60 plus 104 gives me 164. That is going to be the measure of angle GHI. Okay, and I'm going to add my degrees. If you have an assessment and you leave the degrees out because sometimes it's difficult to find the degrees symbol in the assessments in Schoology, I won't take off points for your degree symbol in Schoology. Okay, so 164 degrees equals the measure of angle GHI. Okay, all right, let's look at this proof. I have given angle cat and angle tad are adjacent angles. The measure of angle cat equals 5x plus 20 degrees. the measure of angle TAD equals 10x plus 5 degrees. And the measure of angle CAD equals 115 degrees. Prove that x equals 6. Okay, so I know I have adjacent angles, which means I can add them together and get a whole angle. So I'm going to see if I can sketch myself a picture to see which two I should add together, because I don't know if they've given me the two angles that are next to each other that I add to equal the other one, or if they've given me, oh, I should have done that like this, if they gave me the two angles to add together to equal the other one, or if they've given me one of the small angles and given me a big angle, and I end up needing to move some stuff around. Okay, so I need to draw a picture so I can see where these angles are located. Okay, so first I have the measure of angle CAT and angle TAD are adjacent angles. So when I draw that, I know I'm going to have two angles that are adjacent. So I'm going to draw one big giant angle. I don't know how big any of the angles are. They could all be acute. They could all be obtuse. I don't know. But I know it's two adjacent angles, so it's going to look like one big angle with a ray that's dividing the two angles, or dividing the one big angle into two smaller angles. And there's nothing that tells me the two small angles have to be the same. In fact, here I've got one's 54, one's 105. Here one's 60, one's 104. Most of the times they won't be equal. So what I do when I draw them, I make sure to draw my other ray that connects my two adjacent angles. I make it so it looks like they're not the same. Okay, one angle is CAT, so I'm going to label my top angle CAT, and I could have made that the small angle CAT, and then TAD are adjacent angles. TAD are adjacent angles. Now if I had accidentally put my C here, I would have an issue, because the T, since the T is in both angles, I knew that had to be the letter on the ray that's inside in the interior of the big angle. Okay? So that is my first little piece. Okay? So then I have these givens right here. Okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write them all in my equation. Okay? Or in my proof, my givens. So angle CAT and angle TAD are adjacent angles. Okay, and in geometry a lot of times we'll abbreviate as many things as we can, so sometimes you'll just see people do this rather than write out the word angles. They just do a little angle and then put an S next to it to say angle CAT and angle TAD are adjacent, I don't know why I put an S there, angles. And that was my first given. Okay? So then, my next given, the measure of angle CAT equals 5x plus 20 degrees. That was also given. I like to check them off once I put them in my proof so I don't forget anything. The next one, the measure of angle TAD equals 10x plus 5 degrees. That is also given. And then the last one, it says and the measure of angle CAD equals 115 degrees. This word and there, it's not really part of this statement. It's just English, right? It's a list. This, and this. So I don't have to put the word and. The measure of angle CAD equals 115 degrees. That was also given. Okay, so now as we continue, we need to come up with an equation to substitute these values in. To do that, I'm going to use this first given, because the first given says I have adjacent angles, which means I'm going to be able to use the angle addition postulate, because I'm going to be able to say that this angle plus this angle equals the whole thing. Okay, so I can say the top angle, CAT, plus the bottom angle, the measure of angle TAD, equals the whole angle, CAD, the measure of angle CAD. And that is my angle addition postulate. Okay, so anytime you're adding two angles together, make sure it's the angle addition postulate. When you're adding two segments together, that's when it's the segment addition postulate. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to substitute in these values. The angle CAT is 5x plus 20. Remember, when you're putting it in the equation, you don't have to write the degree symbol, and the parentheses are just there to tell you the whole thing belongs with the degrees. So we don't need the parentheses either. 5x plus 20 plus, and then I can substitute in this one because it's all substitution, 10x plus 5 equals, and then I can substitute in for CAD 115. Substitution, property of equality. Remember, if you're going to abbreviate, don't abbreviate too much that I don't understand what it says. Okay? All right, so then the next thing I want to do is, if I look at the left-hand side, I have some like terms that I can put together. So 5x plus 10x, that is 15x. 20 plus 5 is 25. That equals 115. And we combined like terms. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I need to isolate that 15x and get the 15x all by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 25 on both sides. So 15x equals, because I'm taking away, remember we don't show this little mathy part when we do the proof. Sometimes I write it in there so I don't forget what I was doing. 115 minus 25 is 90, and what did I do? I subtracted by 25 on both sides. So subtraction, property of equality. And remember, if you're going to abbreviate, make sure we can tell the difference between substitution and subtraction. Okay? Last but not least, we need to get x all by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 15. Again, remember, that's really not part of the proof. It's the math you're doing to get to the next step. 15 over 15 is 1x. Equals 90 divided by 15 is 6, and that's what I was trying to prove. I was trying to prove x equals 6. I did, but I don't put the word proof here. What did I do to get here? I divided both sides by 15. So the division, property of equality. Okay, and so there my proof is complete. And then the last thing this asks me to do, it says to find the value, back a little, find the value of each angle in the proof above. So remember, up here, there's really 1, 2, 3 different angles. So it wants me to find the value of each angle in the proof. Okay, so I know that CAT is 5x plus 20. So CAT, that's this angle here, is 5x plus 20, and we have just now proved that x is 6. So 5 times 6 is 30, plus 20 is 50 degrees. Okay, so the measure of angle CAT is 50 degrees. So down here I'm going to say the measure of angle CAT equals 50 degrees. Okay, then let's do the next one, TAD. The measure of angle TAD is 10x plus 5. So TAD, that's this angle here that I'm coloring in orange, is 10x plus 5. And we know that x is now 6. We proved it. 10 times 6 plus 5, which is 60 plus 5, which is 65 degrees. So the measure of angle TAD is 65 degrees. The measure of angle TAD equals 65 degrees. And then remember, there's 3 angles there. I know they just gave us the last one, but I'm going to go ahead and write it down. The whole angle, CAD, they just told me that, right? It's 115 degrees. So my whole angle is 115 degrees. The measure of angle, CAD, equals 115 degrees. We can check our work. The 50 and the 65 together, they sure do make 115. Okay, notice I didn't draw my picture really to scale because 50 degrees should look smaller than 65 degrees, but that's okay. I still was able to get the correct answer. Okay, all right, so hopefully that helps you with segment addition. Thank you so much for watching.